I know when you're watching this, there's a lot of like cringe-worthy moments, and I agree. I'm watching, I'm like, oof. A VMI alumnus reacts. Let's see what Business Insider's got.
You will not look at me! Scream, yes, Sergeant! Yes, Sergeant!
This
Louder! Yes, Corporal!
is Hell Week at Virginia Military Institute.
Ah, beautiful. Shenandoah Mountains.
The oldest public senior military college in the U.S. On a hot and humid Saturday in August, 496 new freshmen, or rats, arrived at VMI to begin the first week of the Rat Line. A challenging 6-month process they must complete before they officially enter the Corps of Cadets.
That's the thing. Whether you're going to OCS, Warrior Camp, VMI, whatever military training it is, one advice that I can give to everybody is that as long as you sound off with intensity and do the right thing, you tend to get left alone because they know that you're a hard charger, you're motivated, and you're squared away. But if you show any signs of being timid, being shy, being quiet, or being reserved, they're gonna poke you with a stick just nonstop. And so the one piece of advice is always sound off as loud as you can and do the right thing and be squared away. It sounds a lot easier than actuality when you try to do it in real life.
What is a rat?
I believe it's described as the lowest, dirtiest thing on earth.
You will straight at all times. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. Do you understand me? Yes, sir.
I'm gonna phrase it on this frame right here with this kid's training. Anyways, I love the idea of the rat line and being called this derogatory term, rat, because it's a level playing field, right? Those 496, roughly 500 rats that entered, it does not matter if they come from a background of wealth or poverty. They're the same thing. They're still a rat. Doesn't matter if you're a female, Asian, or black, you're still a rat. It doesn't matter if you were the valedictorian or popular in high school, you're still a rat. And I love it because it strips everything away from you. And as you embark upon the VMI cadetship, you start earning everything slowly back and you value it more, it has more worth, and you understand that nothing in life is granted. So that's my take. I love the rat line.
Since the 1850s, new cadets have been called rats and refer to each other as brother rats.
To this day, brother rats, and we abbreviate it as BR, they are some of the most trustworthy folks that I have in my life. I know that I can depend on them, and it's been over a decade, and I know that I can trust them, and I can lean on them, and I can depend on them. It doesn't even matter if I haven't spoken to a specific BR in 5 years or 6 years. When we meet, we pick it right back up because of that brotherhood, that bond, that camaraderie that we developed by going through a shared suffering. Just another reason why I think the rat line is a unique but awesome experience.
Brother rat. Brother rat.
Brother rat! Brother rat!
They drop the moniker after the rat line ends.
Brother rat!
Golf company. All right. Excited? You ready? Awesome. Let's grab your stuff.
On matriculation day, new rats are welcomed by cadets.
Welcome to the Virginia Military Institute and the Corps of Cadets.
And by VMI Superintendent Major General Cedric T. Wins.
So today your journey begins.
Wins, a VMI graduate, was appointed.
So a fun fact about Major General Wins, he was a star basketball player at VMI when he was a cadet. What I know is that he was amazing.
In April 2021 as the first black superintendent in the school's 182-year history. A milestone since VMI didn't racially integrate until 1968. The new rats say goodbye to their family.
I think matriculation day is one of those few moments in my youth where I felt like I started to develop a bond with my parents. Because I think up until that point, I felt a distance between us, right? Our relationship wasn't really fostered by anything memorable. But when I signed the matriculation book and they accompanied me to matriculation day, I think that's when I started to understand, like, those are my parents. And I will never forget, because when I matriculated, the regimental cadet captain mentioned that your children are a direct reflection of your virtues and values. And so I applaud you for raising them the way that they are. And that made me think about it. Parents play a crucial role not only in the development of a young child, but also teaching them what is right and wrong from an early age, so that when they become an adult, they are set up for success and they don't have to learn lessons the hard way.
Before it's officially time for them to join the rat line.
It was a sad moment, but at the same time, it was a sense of excitement knowing that I have a new path ahead of me.
Let's go, come to your right! Follow it!
Oh, that march up the hill. Oof. Asian rat. I'm gonna pause it on this guy's face right here. So that march up the hill after you say goodbye to your parents, I remember that day I started to learn about proper hydration no less than a year prior. And so I chugged not one, not two, but like 3 bottles of Gatorade just to make sure that I would have enough hydration in me, because I knew that I was about to go through a sweat fest where I was going to lose pounds. And I remember having to hold in my urine for the longest time on that first day. I think you can tell which parents are alumnus or alumni, because the ones that are smiling and cheering them on, they went through it themselves and they know how beneficial this process is. But the parents that look worried or even fearful, you could tell that they probably don't come from a military background. They're thinking about their sweet little kid, and it's like, what are they about to do to them? But regardless, after that first semester a rat spends at VMI and you go home for the first time during Thanksgiving or Christmas, everybody in your community will see a change in you. The way that you talk, the way that you stand, your mannerisms, everything just changes about you. So I think it's one of those miraculous transformations that happens to everybody. Unless you were a dirtbag and you were a crappy person before VMI and you were a crappy person during the process, and eventually the system finds a way to kick you out. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts of the whole regimental system, is that if you're a dirtbag, it finds a way to get you out of there. You either end up cheating on an exam, or you get caught lying, etc. Let's continue.
The rats march into barracks to officially meet their cadre. The group of upperclassmen charged with training and disciplining the new rats.
It was surreal. I was not expecting any of that. People are yelling, screaming, running around and everything. I didn't know what to do, what to think. I just felt so alone.
With all the rats inside, the barracks gates were locked, barring all visitors.
It was nerve-wracking, but at the same time awe-inspiring. That moment where you know, this is it.
That's the face of it, right? He's saying, what did I just sign up for?
The slow walk-in is like the intimidation factor. It's supposed to like intimidate the rats, and it's just to give the rats like a culture shock of where they are so that they understand what they're getting themselves into.
You will respect them! They will teach!
after this not so warm welcome from the cadre.
All right, so on that note of 7 months, it really depends, right? When the GC and the rest of the system decides when your breakout should be. It varies. But on that note, it's not like basic training or boot camp where it lasts like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or even 12 weeks. Rather, the rat line is a marathon. What you're seeing on the screen right now, this is what the rats go through and endure nonstop for half a year, 7 months, or even 8 months, right? Not only are they expected to carry a full college curriculum and taking classes, homeworks, assignments, projects, and tests, but they're also doing military training, and they're also getting, another word for hazing would be what? Disciplined, and going through that nonstop, 24/7. And so if you thought boot camp or basic was long, try doing this crap for 7 months or 8 months while balancing every other priority under the sun. And I think that's beautiful because you quickly understand and you learn how to prioritize. Because if you just focus on just the rat line, then your academics and military training will suffer. If you just focus on your Marine Corps classes or your Navy classes and you don't care about your academics, you're gonna suffer. You probably won't get your first selection in your dream sheet, right? If you wanna be a Navy SEAL, you'll probably end up being a SWO, right? So it's a balance, a dichotomy of understanding that everything needs equal attention and you have to learn how to prioritize. And I think that's a valuable lesson that VMI teaches you. And what you learn by going through the rat line.
The rat's next stop is the barber shop. Female rats must wear their hair in a tight bun or ponytail.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause it right there. That's new. When I matriculated over a decade ago, it's like 12 or 13 years now, female cadets actually had to cut their hair like 4 inches, and they all had hair right below their ears. Before my time, I know that the female rats also had to cut their hairs just like the guys. And so now I think VMI is embracing the military regulations of where females don't have to cut their hair as long as they just have it up tight or in a bun. And so I guess times are changing, and that's interesting to see because that's how you knew whether or not somebody was a rat. A rat had that hideous, ugly haircut of a 1 on top and a 0 on the sides, and the females all had hair that was like 3.5, 4 inches.
And can't have it fall below the shoulder blades. Male rats have to shave their heads.
Why are you holding them? So I can service them.
I think there's something painful of when you leave like the civilian lifestyle and you walk into a military Spartan regiment and you lose your hair. It's kind of like you're shedding the old you and you're going into the new you. And this is not unique to VMI. Every military system does this in indoctrination, right? Whether you go to West Point, Citadel, you enlist into the Air Force, everybody goes through this. So it's just one of those transformation processes to signify like, hey, you're no longer civilian, welcome to this side of the world.
Hair longer than 8 inches is cut and donated to charity.
That's good, I like that.
VMI cadets are not obligated to serve in the armed forces after graduation. And tuition costs about $30,000 per year for Virginia residents and about $60,000 for out-of-state cadets.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause it right there. A call out here is the tuition looks a little high when you look at it on the surface level. But one thing you have to realize is that the Corps of Cadets is roughly 1,700. The student population is not that dense. And so the percentage of cadets that are there on scholarship is through the roof. You're either there on an athletic scholarship, military scholarship, or academic scholarship. And then there's little grants here and there. I myself was there on an academic scholarship. I don't think I paid a single penny during my 4 years. And the beauty of it is that you don't have an obligation to serve. Yes, you do go through military training, but you don't have an obligation to serve. So after 4 years of that and you experience like Marine Corps training or Air Force training and you realize this is not for me, you can still graduate and go into the civilian sector and live your life the way you want. But as you go through the system, you will go through military training, and all aspects of it are infused into your day-to-day life, and it's not like modern day times. When they talk about how VMI is the only Spartan lifestyle military university left, they're not playing around. Like, you sleep on a wooden rack, there's no air conditioning, you have no furniture, there's no couches, nothing. It is literally a Spartan lifestyle. So we're talking about the military atmosphere and an environment from the 1700s to the early 1800s. And that's what you're going through for 4 years. But that tuition looks a little high, but understand that most cadets, right, aren't paying anything. And as a matter of fact, you're getting paid to attend VMI if you are a part of the honors program or a military scholarship. You get a stipend every month. And if you are one of the few cadets that show up without a scholarship, there are ample opportunities to pick up a 3-year or 2-year or other sources of academic scholarships to make sure that you don't graduate with any debt. That's an important call out that people should know.
Why come to VMI if you don't have a plan to serve?
A normal college, like the way I'm wired, I feel like I wouldn't be able to succeed as well as at a normal college. I think I need some discipline.
I really like that. This kid is mature for his age. On the surface level, you might think he's just a chill surfer bro, but the fact that he can dig deep and know that about himself, like, hey, I wouldn't have the discipline to make it in a normal college, it just shows the magnitude of his self-reflection and his mental maturity. I myself can confess with full transparency, if I went to a normal school, I probably would have flunked out within a year or two, okay? In high school, I was a wild child. I was voted the class clown by my peers in the yearbook superlatives. VMI changed me for the better, for sure. And a call out on that note is, I mean, when they ask, like, why are you coming here if you're not even planning on to serve? VMI is not for everyone. Let's get that straight and address the pink elephant in the room, right? If you're one of those weird people that like pineapple on pizza, okay? Nobody should be judged for their choice or their preference in their college. Same like in pizza, right? I think everybody has a different reason, right? I got to know my BRs on an intimate level. Some people wanted to continue the family tradition of military service. Others wanted to prove that they could do it because they weren't sure if they could do it. Others wanted to be a part of the VMI alumni network. Speaking of which, pound for pound, it has benefited me in so many ways that now I go out of my way to help out any VMI person. And which is really funny because every year I get maybe like 15 to 20 rats that reached out to me because of my videos, right? Because they're looking for content on YouTube about VMI. And most alumni, they don't really venture down the path of entertainment. I know there's one guy that graduated like 10 years before me. He's like a huge Nickelodeon star. But besides him, not many alumni really go into the entertainment field. And so that's why I'm making content about VMI here and there, right? This is not the full or whole experience. You're only seeing what they want you to see. And so whenever rats reach out to me, man, I always give them encouragement. I always tell them to stay strong because every time they reach out to me, it's when they're on the verge of quitting. And I've been there before too. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And then where would the legacy and honor and the uniqueness be if everybody could do it, if everybody could graduate? From matriculation to graduation was 53%. And so this is not something that most people can do. And these are not just people off the streets, your average Joe. These are people that are like, I can do VMI. They did the research, they showed up, 53% attrition rate from that specific demographic pool. And so that's why I think it's beautiful. It shows you a lot about who you are as a person and your breaking point. And when you reach it, how do you dig deep to keep going, to keep persevering? And so if you're a rat watching this and you need mentorship or any advice on the outside world, hit me up. Don't be afraid.
A common appeal of VMI is the alumni network, which includes politicians like Virginia Governor Ralph Northam.
I would show so many other alumni rather than a governor of Virginia. I'm not downplaying that, but we're talking about like 5-star generals, George C. Marshall or Patton, etc., etc. There are much more prominent figures ranging from the military field all the way into the civilian corporate side, C-suite level. VMI Alumni Network is insane. Pound for pound, I think it's because a lot of us, after you graduate, you're not just looking to settle. All of us are super hungry and you want more in life. You don't just want to be average, right? If we went to a college seeking an unordinary experience, then we want to become unordinary folks in the real world as well. And so one thing that I've learned is if VMI alumnus applies to a position that reports directly to me, they're getting an interview because I know what kind of character development that they have. I know about their mental fortitude. I know that they have grit. And those are qualities you just can't train somebody, right? It's something that you either develop going through a suffering experience or it's innate. But some people will pretend to have it, will fake it till they make it. But when they dig deep down inside, they realize they never truly went through something difficult in their lives before. And I think VMI is a tremendous opportunity to be slapped in the face and to understand I'm not as big as I thought I was. I'm not as cool as I thought I was. I'm not as tough as I thought I was. Because everybody reaches their breaking point at one point or another.
I think the connections here will be useful.
So many opportunities, connections.
About half of cadets do not go on to serve in the military.
That's interesting. That statistic of about 50% commissioning into the armed services, which, by the way, VMI allows you to commission into any of the 5 branches, right? I had BRs go into the Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy, and Army. I remember in the past, it used to be mandatory commissioning, but now they allow you to decide whether or not you want to or not. And some of my BRs, they chose to go the civilian route, but once they worked in the corporate office for a year or two, they realized, man, this is not what I want right now. And so they end up going into the military through OCS or a fast commissioning track.
Yet they still chose this for their college experience.
The rat line, it's all mental. It's to put pressure so that you can be more mentally tough. Giving rats a very stressful environment shows them that you're at the bottom, you have to work your way to the top, and also you need to be able to like overcome pressure and like obstacles in your way.
Shut your mouth right now! Shut your mouth right now!
The rats form up outside, where they continue to get to know their cadre.
Shut that dog in the back. Fix it right now. Right now. Right now. You, right here. What? Don't talk back to me!
Man, that kid's face is red. He needs some milk. He needs some water.
Shut up! Shut up!
That's how life is here. You just had to stand there, try not to do anything.
I know when you're watching this, there's a lot of like cringe-worthy moments, and I agree. I'm watching, I'm like, oof.
Try to be as invisible as possible.
But you don't want our lives here still! What's wrong with those who do?
Rats learn the VMI honor code, which they repeat over and over again.
Undercoat! Get it! Cheat still! Keep going!
What's it like to be a female student at VMI?
So if I'm being completely honest, it's a little harder. You definitely have to be stronger as a female here because any sign of weakness, their excuse is, oh, they're a female. So there's a term here for female. It's called she'd. I think it's supposed to be like she cadet, something like that. I personally don't like the word. I don't let anyone around me say it because I take offense to it. Because even though there's some females here that take pride in it, like I'm not a female cadet. I'm just a cadet, and that's all I will be.
No, I always had the utmost respect for female cadets because They chose to go to VMI knowing how strenuous and difficult it will be.
Female cadets couldn't fully matriculate at VMI until 1997, after a Supreme Court decision forced the school's policy to change. And the culture of VMI continues to be scrutinized.
Systemic racism and sexism at Virginia Military Institute.
Tuesday, the Special Investigation Team released their findings in a 150-page report.
In June of 2021, a special investigation ordered by Governor Northam concluded that, quote, institutional racism and sexism are present, tolerated, and left unaddressed at VMI.
First, I would tell any parent or any prospective student that I'm a product of Virginia Military Institute. As the superintendent, I'm focused on doing what needs to be done to make sure that the Corps of Cadets understand that that type of behavior is inconsistent with the character of honor and honorable cadets, and we need to eliminate it from our ranks.
Since the investigation began, monuments touting VMI's ties to the Confederacy have since come down, including a statue of Confederate General and former VMI physics professor Stonewall Jackson.
What was your reaction to that report? How did that impact you when you found out about this news?
It was disheartening to hear that such a prestigious school had to deal with it, but at the same time, I wasn't deterred. Growing up, I've dealt with racism in so many different parts of my life that if there's some here, so be it. I won't let that hinder my personal aspirations.
With the companies formed, Hell Week officially begins.
Clean this room, now take your breaks. Hurry up. You do not. This was have a clothes in your wall locker.
They teach you how to wear your uniform properly, shine your brass, shine your shoes, fold your clothes.
Get this off the table, Rob Johnson. Respond!
You have to understand, when there's cameras around, these VMI cadets are not just going to be reckless and just start cussing and act violent, right? What I can guarantee you is that when the cameras are not on and when they're not being documented, it is a lot more intense and all gloves are off. What you're seeing right here is a watered down Air Force equivalent of what Hell Week or Matriculation Day looks like. I guarantee you, once those cameras went off, these rats, if any of them are smirking or smiling, they're crying. I can guarantee you that. I can promise you that. Because how stupid do you have to be to have a camera pointing at you and you to be all out and to show the full rage of what it is to join VMI? Right? You're not, because you're going to be shown as irresponsible, a monster, or as a terrible human. But once those cameras are off, that's when these rats will truly feel the wrath. And I'm not even saying that with intensity or to look tough. I'm just saying it as it is. Like, if there's cameras around, you're gonna act a different way. You're gonna be more behaved.
Dismiss platoon guy sergeant! Hurry up.
Pick it up.
For rats,
Don't leave a mess.
life is no less stressful in the dining hall, where they adhere to strict protocols during meals.
You bring your food to your mouth, not your mouth to your food. Do you understand me, rat bowls?
This is lunchtime, no doubt in my mind. The reason why I know that is for lunch, because everybody has different academic schedules. Rats can eat at a 1 hour window anytime that they choose in between classes. For breakfast and supper, aka dinner, they have to eat with their cadre. And so what you see right there, they have a lot of freedom. Because when you eat with cadre, it's one of the worst dining experiences you will ever get. You know how when you eat out, you tip the server? I mean, I would punch somebody in the face if I had to go through that again. It is so annoying. Because you walk out of there feeling more hungry than full. Because it's 30 minutes of just nonstop harassment. Shoulder to shoulder with your BR, and there's like 12 of us at a table. And we would have to take turns lifting our hands with the utensil, and we were only allowed to do like 2 to 3 chews per bite, and you had to swallow. And when you're talking about 2 to 3 chews per bite, you are not going to be able to eat fast, because in between each bite, the cadre member that sits with you at the table, they're harassing you nonstop. Put it back down, put it back up, put it back down. Sometimes they would put Tabasco in your milk. Sometimes they would put salt all over your food, right? It's just one of those nasty things that you have to endure. And one of the worst things to eat was anything related to red sauce like lasagna or spaghetti. Because as you can tell, their uniforms are all white. And when you can't look down at your food and you gotta look straight at attention and eat like this, you're bound to get stains. And when you get stains, you're talking about demerits.
When you get back to your room, fix your name tag.
You can get harassed anytime about literally anything.
Don't eat like a cowboy, you eat like a civilized person, do you understand me?
The upperclassmen have basically free reign to yell at you for whatever they want to.
Open your mouth! Yes, Corporal!
They just learn how to be rats, learn the basics so that they can get through this semester and then halfway through the next.
Roll it back! Get your fork back! Who am I? Who am I?
One of the basics rats learn during Hell Week is how to properly strain, which refers to the uncomfortable position they must take
Yes, Corporal!
whenever they're inside barracks for the duration of the rat line.
Yes, sir! Strain! Strain! Yes, sir!
Can you show me what the proper technique is?
And then you put it back, and you just kind of like lean back at the waist.
Shoulders back, chin in, and then stick your forehead back as far as it can go.
Yes, sir.
Every class has certain privileges. Rats, their only privilege is to strain, and as you go up, you get more privileges.
That's a lot of sweat. I can just
Long-held
smell the
rat
BO
line
from here.
traditions like straining continue
No
at
offense.
VMI.
Yes, Corporal!
But the Institute has adjusted some training since the appointment of Superintendent Wins. Cadet cadre now participate in a leadership academy on professionalism, accountability, and appropriate behavior when dealing with new cadets.
Look at my face. Remember who I am.
And new measures for reporting incidents have been put in place.
We have what's called a Cadet Equity Association, and it's intended to deal with reports that might come about where an incident of racism or sexism has occurred.
Get outside! Come here! Come here!
Hell Week culminates the following Sunday with an event known as the Crucible.
Do you see how everybody is equipped with a camelback? That's new. When I was going through the rat line, everybody had canteens. I'm talking about canteens from the Vietnam War era. Moldy, nasty, and even when the lid was all the way shut, it would still leak. And when you ran around with a canteen, you would have a huge bruise on your hip or your lower back. But to see camelbacks, I think that's a lot more efficient. I like it.
A series of physically challenging events, including a swim in a nearby river, and a physical challenge where rats race each other to flip over large tires. But after lightning struck near post, the rats were ordered to return to barracks.
10! 9! 8! Sergeants!
With the rats safely back in their rooms, it appeared the Crucible would be cut short.
They told us to just clean our room, so we didn't really expect anything after that. We just thought the day was over.
But the cadre had different plans.
Get down on your faces! Push! Push! Get out of line! Cheat still! Get out of line! Cheat still!
This is gonna sound really nasty. One thing that I just remembered is when I went through my Hell Week, which was like 9 days or so, in my company, I don't think anybody was able to defecate, right? Because you're going through such intense pressure and stress and 1 to 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, or your body just is in this fight or flight mode where it just can't digest properly, and so nobody was able to go doo-doo. That was nasty, now that I think about it.
The Crucible events canceled by weather were replaced with what's known as a sweat party.
Let's go! Everyone downtown! Cheat still!
We had a 5-round sweat party. Each round was 3 minutes long.
Arms up!
And it's just a high-intensity workout is the best way to put it.
Undercover! VMI undercover! I can't not lie! Cheat, steal, no tolerate those who do! Say it louder!
I wouldn't call it a pleasant experience, but I don't think it was supposed to be.
After 5 exhausting rounds, the sweat party was over.
Start clapping!
And so was Hell Week.
Brother Rat!
The first step of the rat line. The 6-month journey that the class of 2025 must complete before officially joining the Corps of Cadets.
There you have it. I can't wait to visit VMI next time I'm in town or in Virginia. But yeah, that was a VMI Alumnus Reacts.